Hey, everybody, thanks for checking out the channel. Tobin here with you. Want to get into some Heat stuff, but please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And you guys can watch Tobin and Leroy on the 560 WQAM channel. Go subscribe over there as well. Watch us weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single weekday. Leroy and I are going to be boots on the ground at the Kaseya Center tonight to watch a little UFC action. So very much looking forward to that. Did not recap the game last night. Didn't really see the point of it. They didn't play anybody. Was interesting. The Heat decided to go into last night, second night of a back-to-back after throttling the Sixers. They decided not going to really push for the 6th seed, any slim chance that they had at it, which ultimately was the right choice because Brooklyn ended up winning, so there was really nothing to play for anyway. So Miami sat Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love. Everybody was basically out yesterday. It was the Victor Oladipo show. Tight game early. Jamal Cain did some nice things. And Cody Zeller got some PT. So that was all the positives out of that game yesterday. But ultimately, the Heat are locked in. They have their positioning, which seemed like the trajectory was there for a while. I think once the Heat lost that game at home to the Brooklyn Nets, it was looking very much like the play-in was likely. That was going to be the direction they were headed in. And I will say, the Heat did this to themselves in that they have, been so inconsistent all year. It feels like they need, one more wake-up call to get into the playoffs, and which will be a little bit tougher, although I imagine they'll be very similar method to playing time tomorrow, where they're not going to play very many people. Maybe Tyler gets a little bit of run. But I think with Bam being banged up, Jimmy, Kyle, I think all those guys are going to plan on resting going into an Atlanta Hawks game on Tuesday night. Not a matchup, I would say, out of the play-in teams. You want to talk about the team that they probably feel most comfortable with playing. Atlanta is definitely that team. I mean, they've handled them in a playoff series. They have good success against them in the regular season. Trae Young, ever since his fortune teller game, was has not had the most success against Miami. So it is probably the matchup that you want to just say, hey, you win this and you're starting a series against the Boston Celtics. If they lose that game, then they get to host another play-in game later in the week, either against the whoever wins or whoever loses the 9-10 matchup then plays you, and that'll be your determination to go play the Bucks, I believe. That's the way it goes. So this is going to be an interesting experience as a Heat fan. The first time that they have been in the play-in scenario, which is a new thing. I don't know, if I like it or not. If this is something that, if you really ask these teams, we saw the Mavericks. They shut down Luka for the last couple of games, basically after playing him for a quarter. I don't know if this is, it's another good source of revenue, I guess, for the NBA. But you're looking at these last couple of games, who should pay for that game last night at regular season price to see the Heat play the Wizards, right? Everybody's sitting. It's a complete trash heap. Same thing going for this Orlando Magic Miami game, other than it being Udonis Haslem's last regular season game. So you're going to celebrate the captain. I really don't, is there a big difference between having this extra game where you, I guess, you're basically forcing your team to play guys to get into the playoffs? I don't know. I don't know if it's avoided tanking. You look at a team like the Jazz, which was kind of one of the cute stories early on in the year, and then getting to this spot, they, end up avoiding the playoffs anyway. So I don't know. What I do know is that's the reality. They are here, and they got to really look at a game with big stakes. And, quite frankly, with Miami, they've been a coin flip all year when it comes to, can you trust them in that scenario to go out and get the win that you need them to win? Here was Eric Spoelstra afterwards. This was him after the Wizards game on them. Looking forward to the playing game.
Yeah, maybe this is the path, for this group. That's the way I look at it. We're a dangerous team. We're finding our health. We're getting, a confidence about how we're playing. And it's not like, for the teams that have been in our groupings in either conference, it's not like it's been smooth sailing for 15 or 16 other teams. So, when you say you want to embrace, this type of competition and this opportunity, that's what it means. It's competition at its highest form, and it's a new experience. That's the way I'm looking at it. We've all, especially the veteran players, have all experienced a lot of different things. The playoffs, deep series, first round series. This is something different, and we're looking forward to it.
So it's going to be definitely different. I mean, that's definitely the way to put on it. This is not something they've been used to. On the West side of things, the Pelicans are going to take on the Lakers, who finished in the 7, and then the 9-10 is the Timberwolves and the Thunder. So, listen, it's been it was one of these things where Miami just never could get the grip on this season to turn things around and get on a run. The team never had a 5-game win streak the entire season. The best they were all year was 7 over 500. At best, you're looking at a Miami Heat team that's going to finish with 44 wins if they can if they can end up beating the Magic. But if they don't, I mean, that's, as mediocre as it gets, 43 and 39 if they finish that. And even if they finish 44 and 38, not like the best of records to write home about. And I think we've felt that all year, right? Like, this has been a team that has had some really high highs as far as one night performances where you're just like, there they are. There's the team. But one of the things that's been, the one thing that you could look to is I think a lot of teams all over the league could probably say, we had those half dozen games where we're like, we feel really good about this team right now. We feel really good about where they're at right now. We feel really good about what we are turning into. And, you're the only team that's going to go into the play-in with an above 500 record. I mean, I guess if Atlanta wins their last game, who they'll finish off against the Celtics tomorrow. But you're going into this one with the idea that you take care of business against a team that you've had a lot of success with, and you move on to the Celtics series. You get into you hopefully get yourself in line with one of the teams that's, I think everybody looks at this league right now and thinks that the 2 top teams in the East are the most viable title contenders out there. I think in the West, I don't know if anybody really believes in any team, maybe outside of Phoenix and a healthy Golden State, but everybody's kind of a mixed bag there. It's not. It's your best record was 52 wins there from Denver. I just think that for Miami, it's a matter of, all right, you don't get that comfort of this season has felt very much like they've been waiting to turn on the switch. And I do think it's helpful when that happens to have a playoff series. It kind of just gets you in the vibes of we're taking on the same team every night. We're adjusting to it. And with taking on a Boston Celtics team that has been really good all year, you've competed nicely against. It's a tough ask. Now, they do have the situation with Jalen Brown, who is dealing with an injury. He cut his hand. This is crazy. He apparently was watering a plant, broke his vase, was picking up the piece of a glass vase, and needed to get 5 stitches between 2 fingers. So he's going to miss the last 2 games. His hand was heavily wrapped, and it seems like he'll be ready for the playoffs, but you don't know. Will it mess with his shooting hand at all? Will it mess with what's going on with him? I'm not sure, but it was definitely a bizarre injury for Jalen Brown to, garden basically in his house and get hurt like that. That's a crazy thing. Here's a little bit more on Spo on being in the play-in.
A couple different thoughts about it. This is our reality, and you have to embrace that. This is a totally new experience for all of us. It's not exactly where we wanted to be, heading into this season. If you go back to training camp, but that is totally irrelevant. We have this in front of us, and it's competition, and it's great competition. With a lot at stake, and that is something to look forward to, particularly with the competitors that we have in our locker room.
think the thing that just you wish you would have had is that you always want that build up to be to those toughest challenges in the playoffs. That's why you vie for the seeding. Like we saw this in the run it back season, like, getting right to it with the Milwaukee Bucks, who were, in a situation where a couple of years ago, you knew they had revenge on their mind from wanting to beat you. And, that was a year where all the records were a little bit wonky because of the run it back and all that type of stuff. But you got set up for that, and it was tough sledding, man. That series after that first game, which was competitive, it was a real throttling that Miami took. So it does feel like if they get into this series with Boston or Milwaukee, it's very important for Miami to hit that first punch to show that they are in the game. Now, while the pressure won't be, the pressure will be on the higher seed to keep home court advantage. Like, there's still going to be, I think, that added pressure to show Miami. It's like, in a fight, like, you want to show your opponent like you have some power that they have to respect. I think that has to be the case for Miami. And certainly the way that Jimmy's been playing, that is the thing that gives you the most confidence. This guy has been, over the last quarter of the season, one of the best players in the league. So you are bringing that into the fight. Tyler has been clutch all year. This is a big redemption type of playoffs for him after a disappointing one last year. I don't really count the Bucks series. I feel like everybody was disappointing that series. Everybody was so like I'm focusing on last year and what he needs to do. Bam, to get back to his consistent ways. I mean, this guy was an all-star this year. You need that type. The bench feels as comfortable as it's been between having Kevin Love there with Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin in that spot. And then moving Max Strus, you add the shooting back to the starting lineup. Now, how is that going to match up against a team like Boston? I don't know. But I think you feel confident about the way things break down a little bit more starting off these games, and the spacing you're giving your two best players and the options they have to kick it out. And maybe you get off to a hot start in that way. So, but first things first, they got to take care of what they got ahead of them, which is the Atlanta Hawks and Spo on that challenge.
Yeah, it feels like we just played them, not only the regular season, but, last year in the playoffs. This will be a different format, so let's go for it. Let's do it.
He's ready to roll, baby. Ready to roll, baby. Excited for it, man. Let's hope this doesn't end in disaster, right? Let's hope this hits in the way we're hoping that it goes, which is Miami getting into a fun series against the Boston Celtics, which is always juicy. I mean, it really is. You're talking about that would be the third showdown with them in 4 years. So could be some real fun stuff ahead.